Today we are going to discuss about the neurodevelopmental disorder, that is intellectual disability and autism spectrum disorder. What are neurodevelopmental disorders? Are a group of conditions with the onset in the developmental period. The disorders typically manifest early in the development, often before the child enters grade schools, and are characterized by developmental deficits that produce impairments of personal, social, academic, and occupational functioning. The range of developmental deficits varies from very specific limitations of learning or control of executive functions to global impairment of social skills or intelligence. The neurodevelopmental disorders are frequently co-occurring with ADHD with intellectual disability, autism with ADHD, ADHD with LD. And there are variable clinical presentation according to the disorders. Let's see about intellectual disability. What is it? It is significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning existing co-occurrently with deficits in adaptive behavior and manifested during the developmental period that adversely affects a child's educational performance. Intellectual disability are also known as intellectual developmental disorder, global developmental disorder, and also unspecified intellectual disability. There are difficulties in attention, memory, language, gross and fine motor coordination, learning and problem-solving abilities, social and self-care skills, ability to control emotions and behavior. As we have seen that it is deficit in general intellectual functioning along with adaptive behaviors which is manifested in developmental period. So these functions are these: problem-solving, learning, and there is global delay in the milestone. What are the adaptive behaviors? A person's adjustment to everyday life, ability to meet age-appropriate social requirements, and indication of independence and social competency. So adaptive behavior is using community resources, having social competencies, and having age-appropriate social requirements. Adaptive skills that are affected are ability to communicate, self-care, housework, social skills, working and learning, community life. Are there categories? Yes. Mild, moderate, severe, profound. What is mild mental retardation? Where intellectual quotient falls between 55 to 69. 85% of all MR cases, they are educable, can read up to 7th grade level. Moderate requires supervision and support, can be in regular school with special educational service, can get jobs later in life and be relatively independent. So, the mild mental retardation is 85% of all. They are educable. Also, they can do jobs and continue regular schooling with supervision and support. Moderate are 35 to 54. They are trainable and can do jobs or can get jobs but will be very basic and semi-skilled ones. And 10% of all MR cases. Moderate mental retardation need a very structured classroom environment, self-contained classroom, and supervision later in life, and there are difficulties in motor coordination. Severe motor retardation has IQ between 20 to 34. It is just 3% of all MR cases, and goal for them is just teach daily living activities, activity of daily living, and survival skills. Will most likely have to live in a group home or special school. Profound is less than 10, needs continuous care and assistance in basic functioning. They are dependent even for their activity of daily living. What are the associated problems? Aggression, sexual inclination, inappropriate sexual inclination, socially unacceptable behavior, sudden and loud emotional expressions, hyperactivity. Comorbid disorders are ADHD, autism, communication disorder, epilepsy, psychosis. So epidemiological survey indicate that up to 2/3 of children and adults with intellectual disability have comorbid psychiatric disorder. And this rate is several times higher than that in the community samples without intellectual disability. In general, they have higher comorbid psychiatric disorders. The psychopathology appears to be correlated with severity of intellectual disability. More severe the intellectual disability, higher is the risk of coexisting psychiatric disorder. Mild intellectual disability children can also have disruptive and conduct disorders. Autism spectrum disorder is mostly associated with severe intellectual disability, meaning the autistic features are seen in severe MR. Children diagnosed with profound were less likely to exhibit comorbid psychiatric condition. Etiology for intellectual disability is genetic, environmental, biological, psychosocial. Up to 2/3 of all mentally retarded has the probable cause can be identified. Among chromosomal and metabolic disorder, Down, Fragile X, phenylketonuria are the most common and produce at least moderate mental retardation. Deprivation of nutrition, failure to thrive, lack of social stimulation can also contribute to MR, and current knowledge suggests that the genetic, environmental, biological, psychosocial factors work additively in MR. There are prenatal causes, congenital malformations associated with maternal antenatal exposures, toxoplasma, also teratogenic drugs, alcohol, maternal infections like rubella, HIV, congenital malformations of CNS like neural tube defects, all are associated with MR. Genetic abnormalities or Down syndrome, these syndromes, genetic syndromes are associated with MR, tuberous sclerosis, Prader-Willi, Angelman. What are the perinatal causes? Infections like meningitis can cause brain insult, parenchymal insult, and then can lead to further intellectual disability or stunted growth. Even hyperbilirubinemia. Postnatal causes, encephalitis, lead poisoning, traumas, poverty. Acquired and developmental factors are prenatal period, rubella, cytomegalic inclusion disease, syphilis, toxoplasma, herpes simplex, AIDS. Fetal alcohol, complication of pregnancy, acquired childhood disorder, infection, head trauma, other issues. What are the complications of pregnancy which leads to MR? Toxemia of pregnancy, maternal diabetes, maternal malnutrition, obstetric complications, vaginal hemorrhage, placenta previa, premature separation of placenta, prolapse of the cord can lead to hypoxia and further MR. What are the environmental and psychosocial factors? Nutritional problem, adverse living, child abuse, traumatic brain injuries, heavy metal poisoning like lead, viral infections like meningitis and encephalitis. Adaptive function domains are communication, self-care, home living, social skills, interpersonal skills, use of community resources, self-direction, functional academic skills, work, leisure, health, safety. So these are the adaptive skills which MR can manifest as deficit in all these adaptive functions which are age appropriate. Age appropriate need-based communication or age appropriate communication with the same age, self-care, help seeking, social skills, use of community resources. These are all deficit. What's the treatment? Who to involve? It's a multidisciplinary team consisting of primary care doctor, social worker, speech therapist, occupational therapist, neurologist, developmental pediatrician, psychologist and nutritionist. Together with the family, these people develop a comprehensive individualized program for the child. Parents and siblings of the child also need emotional support and sometimes counseling. Whole family should be an integral part of the program. Treatment proper for the MR is enhanced self-image, management of associated psychiatric comorbidities, parental counseling, management in case of psychosocial deprivation, and rehabilitation. Management of accompanying psychiatric comorbidity like appropriate pharmacotherapy, psychotherapy, skills training, and eradication of expressed emotion. Now let's move on to the autism spectrum disorder. What is autism spectrum disorder? It is also one of the neurodevelopmental disorder. Group of disorder which included are ASD, Asperger's, Rett syndrome, childhood disintegrated disorder, PDD, and OS. The etiology is genetic, biomarkers, immunological, prenatal factors, especially valproate, neurological factors, psychosocial. The core features are deficit in social communication and interaction, restrictive repetitive patterns of behavior, interests and activities, and associated physical characteristics. Other core features. What are the 5 red flag signs of ASD? They don't respond to name calling even at age of 2 years. Display less emotions age appropriately. That is, contagious display of emotions, nursery kids crying, laughing together is lacking in these autistic children. Don't imitate behavior. When you smile, clap to them, they don't even smile. don't engage into joint attention, pretend less. That means 2 years imagination for toys and objects is not present. The management is non-pharmacological, especially behavioral interventions, intervention for communication, educational assistance, and sensory integration. Behavioral intervention in the form of applied behavioral analysis, intervention for communication in the form of use of communication modalities and teaching them need-based communication, at least with the use of sign language, communication board, visual support, picture exchange communication system, use of social stories, social skills training. Picture exchange story allows people with minimal or no verbal ability to communicate using pictures. Social story accurately describes a context, skill, achievement, or concept according to specific defining criteria. These criteria guide the author to ensure overall patient and supportive quality. Animal-assisted therapy. The premise that a non-verbal bond with the animal can facilitate the release of oxytocin and improve social skills and bonding. Medications commonly used in autism are antipsychotics, which are conventional and atypical, stimulants, antidepressants, especially SSRI, alpha-2 agonists, anticonvulsants and mood stabilizer, anti-anxiety and benzodiazepines, sleep medication. Antipsychotics, especially atypical and that too particularly risperidone and aripiprazole, are FDA approved. Methylphenidate for comorbid ADHD symptom, atomoxetine alpha-2 also for the ADHD symptoms. SSRIs are not effective in improving the repetitive behavior in children with ASD and in fact frequently cause activating adverse events. Let's move on to other disorder, that is separation anxiety disorder. What is it? Separation anxiety is a universal human developmental phenomenon emerging in infants younger than 1 year of age and marking a child's awareness of a separation from his or her mother or primary caregiver, which is normally seen around age of 1 year or younger than 1 year. Normative separation anxiety peaks between 9 months and 18 months and diminishes by 2.5 years of age, enabling young children to develop a sense of comfort away from even from their parents in preschool. Separation anxiety or stranger anxiety most likely evolved as a human response that has a survival value, which is normal till the age of 1.5 year and also diminishes by 2.5 year. Actually, it is protective phenomenon and helps human protective response, which helps human to survive. In early years, the expression of transient separation anxiety is also normal in young children entering school for the first time. Approximately 15% of young children display intense and persistent fear, shyness, social withdrawal when faced with familiar settings and people. Diagnosis and clinical feature of separation anxiety disorder. Overlapping symptoms in childhood anxiety disorders and multiple disorders are present together mostly. Separation anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and social phobia are highly related in children and adolescents because in most children, overlapping symptoms as well as comorbid disorders emerge. GAD is the most common anxiety disorder among youth. They are common in adolescents than in younger children. In almost 1/3 of these cases, a child with generalized anxiety disorder also exhibits separation anxiety disorder and social anxiety disorder. So in short, other anxiety disorder also comorbidly or overlap with separation anxiety disorder. What are the DSM-5 criteria? 3 of the following, which I am going to say, for at least 4 weeks. Persistent and excessive worry about losing or possible harm befalling major attachment figures. Persistent or excessive worry that an untoward event can lead to separation from a major attachment figure. Persistent reluctance or refusal to go to school or elsewhere because of fear of separation from the major attachment figure. Persistent and excessive fear or reluctance to be alone or without major attachment figure at home or without significant adults in other settings. Persistent reluctance or refusal to go to sleep without being near a major attachment figure. Repeated nightmares involving the themes of separation. Repeated complaints of physical symptoms including headache, stomach ache, separation from major attachment figure is anticipated. This happens whenever it is anticipated. Recurrent excessive distress when separation from home or major attachment figure is anticipated or involved. So there is persistent or excessive worry about losing or some untoward event happening to major figure, refusal to go to school, reluctance to be alone, reluctant or refusal to go to sleep, everything persistent, excessive worry about major attachment figure. What is the course and prognosis? All childhood anxiety disorder have variable course and prognosis. Related to age of onset, the duration of symptoms, the development of comorbid anxiety and depressive disorders. Young children who can maintain attendance in school, after school activities and peer relationships generally have a better prognosis than children who refuse to attend to school and withdraw from school and social activities also. Predictor of future remission included younger age of initiation of treatment, lower severity of anxiety, absence of comorbid depressive or anxiety disorders, absence of social anxiety as a primary anxiety disorder being treated. So, the children who have maintained school and social functioning have better prognosis, and there are more chances of remission when there is lower severity of anxiety and earlier age of onset. Early age of onset and later age of diagnosis were factors in the study that predicted slower recovery. In case with multiple comorbidities, the prognosis is more guarded. Longitudinal study or data indicate that some children with severe school refusal continues to resist attending school into adolescence and remain impaired for many years. Treatment is CBT, SSRI combinations. Let's move on to selective mutism. It is related to social anxiety disorder, but an independent disorder too. It is characterized in a child by persistent lack of speaking in one or more specific social situation, most typically the school setting. A child with selective mutism may remain completely silent or near silent, in some cases only whispering in school setting, in some cases only whispering. So there is lack of speaking in one or more specific social situation, mostly school. So it is only one or more specific social situation where the children lack their communication, lack speaking, or maybe whispering. Although selective mutism often begins before 5 years, it may not be apparent until the child is expected to speak or read aloud in the school. Etiologies, genetic contributions like maternal anxiety, depression, heightened dependence needs are often noted in families of children with selective mutism. Associated with other anxiety disorders and speech and language disorder. What are the parental interactions? Maternal overprotection and anxiety disorder in parents may exacerbate interactions that unwittingly reinforce selective mutism behavior. Children with selective mutism usually speak freely at home and only exhibit symptoms when under social pressure, either in school or other social situation. So some children seem predisposed to selective mutism after early emotional or physical trauma. Thus, some clinicians refer to phenomena as traumatic mutism rather than selective mutism. So these children are most of the time mute or not speaking only in one or more social situation, mostly school setting. Otherwise they are speaking well at home, and this happens most of the time after some traumatic, emotional or physical traumatic event. It is not difficult to make after it is clear that a child has adequate language skills. Matlab, the child has developed the age appropriate speech and language milestone, has no language difficulties. Language skills are appropriate to age, but in some environment they are not speaking. Mutism may have developed gradually or suddenly after a disturbing experience. Age of onset can range from 4 to 8 years. Mute periods are most commonly manifested in school or outside the home. In rare cases, a child is mute at home also, but not in school. Children who exhibit selective mutism may also have symptoms of separation anxiety disorder, school refusal, delayed language acquisition. Because social anxiety disorder is almost always present in children with selective mutism, behavioral disturbances such as temper tantrums, oppositional behaviors may also occur in the home. Compared to children with other anxiety disorder, except social anxiety disorder, children with selective mutism tend to have less social competency and more social anxiety. So, in social anxiety disorder and selective mutism, the children are lacking their social functioning, and at whatever behavioral problems are seen are at home, not outside the home or not in specific situation where they are anxious and mute. Psychoeducation of the family, CBT, SSRI, especially sertraline, fluoxetine, fluoxamine. Preschool children may also benefit from a therapeutic nursery. School-age children, individual CBT is recommended as a first-line treatment. So, today we have seen intellectual disability, autism spectrum disorder, separation anxiety disorder, and selective mutism. Thank you.